every year we talk about growing seeds, starting seeds from scratch, and all of those really cool new plants that are coming out that might be available to gardeners. And of course, in the Backyard Farmer Garden, we are an All-America display garden, not a trial garden. So we have those All-America Selection winners. So I thought we'd talk today about the All-America Selections, and of course you can also talk to John Porter, who has the All-America Trial Garden in Omaha, and Sarah Browning does a lot of talking about All-America Selections and those plants for your landscape as well. But here's the deal, our master gardeners are the ones who start our seeds, and I think this is a really neat idea that they've done this year. Maybe they've done it in the past and we just haven't paid much attention to it, but they have a huge spreadsheet of everything that they think they're going to grow. They have all of the information about it, the name, the selection, the source, whether it's edible or not, the plant information sheet, the sun exposure, the height, the spacing, the suggested sowing date, and the date sown. So they can keep all of this information and track it from year to year. And of course, keeping those records is something we've talked about on the show as well. If you keep the records, you know what worked and what failed. The All-America Selection process is one that is national and then it's regional. And as a display garden, we do get access to those seeds perhaps a bit sooner than others do. We grow them, we see whether they work for us. And the national winners and the regional winners are not necessarily the same thing because of the process used. And of course, just because it is an All-America Selection doesn't mean it's going to want to grow in Nebraska. So the interesting thing for you to think about if you want to try these in your own home landscape is take a look first at whether it has worked for us in our garden, or whether it has worked in the trial garden, or whether you have other friends and gardeners who have had good experience with it. So just a couple of comments on a couple of the 2020s coming out. There is a watermelon coming out that is Mambo, and our master gardeners are thinking they're going to sow this late. April 26th, of course, watermelon likes it warm, so they shouldn't sow it any earlier than that. But they're going to sow them and start them inside and then move them out. And it's one that is 11-pound watermelon, so we're not talking about one of those 65-pound moon and stars that we grew a few years ago. But that's a new 2020. There's a cucumber called Greenlight that is a direct sow, and these are climbers with little tiny fruits on them. So if you think about cucumbers and what people love, a lot of us really like those little one-bite crunchers instead of the big long ones. And of course, tomatoes are always a hot item, way too hot in some instances in terms of the numbers of them. But there is a national winner called Solano, which is a patio grape type, grown with some support, and that will be a really great one to watch as well. The list of the All-America Selections that are 2020s is pretty long, and one of the things that you can do if you want to take a look at it is just go to their website. You can search by 2020. You can go through the list from the very beginning of All-America Selections. You can also search by region, which is the Heartland. And again, knowing that we are in a very different growing situation than, say, Iowa or South Dakota or Missouri, gives you a little bit better idea of some of the opportunities and the possibilities just looking at All-America Selections.